Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, and this is a review of Module 16. Get ready for some sensational sensations. If you've been watching my videos, hope you liked the new intro. If I put it on there, which I hopefully I'll remember to, but all right, let's see what this is about. Well, before we get started, let's just see, how would you pronounce these three words? Please take the caution into account. All right, so how would you pronounce those? Okay, well, probably before I knew anything about this, I would have said, okay, want, Wernicke, Weber. Oh, that might make someone a little bit mad. Yeah. I think you're supposed to say those as a V. That's the correct pronunciation. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so sensation versus perception. What's the difference? Sensation. This is us sensing something. So this sensation is not always known, like consciously known. So you touch a fire, you're gonna sense it before you're gonna know what it is, right? So perception is us realizing what that was. We touched a fire, we're like, dang, that was hot. But we sensed it before we thought that, right? So let's see, what comes first for this deleted Bruce Almighty scene? Sensation or perception?
Oh my God, his hair's on fire!
So we see there, Evan, his hair went on fire. But if you noticed, did he scream right away? No, because he obviously he sensed it, but it took a little bit longer for him to perceive what it was. Okay, you know how that does. It always tries to play the video again. All right, there's two kinds of processing we're going to look at: bottom up, top down. Let's talk about bottom up first. Go to Bottoms Up Pizza one day if you want. It's in Richmond. Okay, bottom up processing. This is using our senses to interpret something. So, what is that? And let me see and then I'll know. It's not always seeing. Let me hear and then I'll know. Let me feel and then I'll know. Let me taste, then I'll know. Let me smell. Whatever the sense might be, we're using our senses to figure out what something is. But top down, that's if you're like, what is that? Let me remember and then I'll know. So it's using our past experiences to interpret something. So that kind of makes sense because bottom up, like think about it, your senses, like if you step on glass, you're going to feel that and it's going to go, it's on your foot, that's low, up to your brain, but top down is like brain, okay, that's making me know what it is. All right, selective attention. Well, this is basically focusing on a specific stimulus or subject. Let's pretend that you're being interviewed. There's going to be a lot of people asking you questions, maybe. Well, I'm talking about like if you were like some kind of celebrity or something. You have to selectively attention yourself to a certain thing. So let's see this.
Mr. Pepperidge, was the Dream Team sleeping last night during the theft?
No comment.
Do you think they will ever recover the ring?
So as you can see, a lot of people are asking that Pink Panther guy that questions. He had to figure out which one he would answer. That's selective attention. He was focusing on that specific person. All right? Cocktail party effect. Well, this is somewhat similar, but it applies to noisy areas like parties. So let's watch this video and at the end, maybe type in the comments which one you listened to.
That way I got a check
So,
cereal magic.
what are the big
and that made it
four?
really great because that
Mystery,
way I could eat
perception,
and get, you know,
memory,
tricks and then I do them
knowledge.
for my
The
friends.
big
If you know
four.
what I mean? Okay.
So you either probably listened to what the left one said or what the right one said. That's the cocktail party effect. You're figuring out which thing you're going to focus on, and you try to just noise out everything else. So all these clips that I'm using, credit to these people. I don't profit off of this. So
That way.
all right. Unattentional blindness. What is this? Well, blindness, well, when you think of someone being blind, you probably think that they can't see. Well, when we're talking about blindness for things like this, it's saying it's sort of just an inability to notice something. So in this case, it's not noticing things because attention is somewhere else. So if you see these 5 pictures, someone, one time people were told to look at people playing basketball. So they're like, look at these people playing basketball. And then later on, they're like, did you see someone walk by? So you see there's someone in a costume and they say no, and they didn't believe it. But then when they saw it again, they were like, hey, how did I not notice that before? That's unintentional blindness. All right, there's change in choice blindness too. All right, change blindness. This is just not noticing changes in the environment. So look at this. So hopefully you can notice some differences in this picture. I can right away tell that there's a tree in that one, but not in that one. You might have change blindness if you just can't tell. You couldn't tell if something changed. Like if you saw this picture and then someone covered your eyes and then uncovered them, did you even notice what changed? All right. And then choice blindness is not remembering a choice. So let's say this guy gives you 2 soups to try. He says, which one do you like better? You say, I liked soup A. So let's say there was A and B. I liked soup A better. Then he gives them to you again the next day and you say, which one did you like better? And then you say B this time. That's choice blindness. You just don't even know. That proves that it's really just random. So that's why they have professional tasters for things like wine tasters or something, because they're like, there's lots of people that have choice blindness. We better have someone that actually knows what tastes good and what's not. All right, transduction. This is just a process of something going from physical energy to a neural impulse. So the light waves going on Jim Carrey, like, so bright, so bright, going to a neural impulse for him. As you can see here, we already talked about that in like module 9, what that process is. But that's what transduction is, going from physical energy to a neural impulse. Psychophysics. This was the first psychological thing researched, by the way. This is studying relationship between physical intensity and psychological responses. So let's say, all right, light is physical, brightness is psychological. So I see light, whoa, that was bright. I heard sound, whoa, that was loud. So that's just a relationship between that. All right, absolute threshold. This is the minimum stimulation needed to detect a stimulus 50% of the time. So let's say there's some loud noise that happens. Let's say 3 decibels of sound. I don't really know anything about that, so that might not be loud. I don't know. But I just know that's a unit of measurement for sound. So let's say, all right, the first time number 1, Jim Carrey's like, didn't notice that. Second time, whoa. Third time, didn't notice that. Fourth and fifth time, whoa. So in these 5 times, all right, 3 of them he noticed. That's 60%. So yes, that's the absolute threshold. It has to be at least 50%. Subliminal is if you can't detect it 50% of the time. Let's pretend it's switched. There's 3 of the and only 2 of those, then that's subliminal. He doesn't, it's not, it doesn't affect him that much, right? Difference threshold. This is the minimum difference required for noticing at least 50% of the time. So can you tell which one of these red squares is darkest? I can't really. I can tell that the top left one seems to be a little bit lighter, but the other ones look almost exactly the same to me. So if I was shown this 5 times, let's say, and only 2 out of the 5 times I could tell the difference, that's not the difference threshold, because it has to be at least 50% of the time. All right, Weber's law. I know it's Weber's law, and remember that thing at the beginning, but I'll just say Weber's law because I just don't feel like saying that. All right, same. This is some law by some guy that was German. He was like, oh, same amount of difference do not result in recognition. Same percentages of difference do. Oh, if that doesn't make sense, let me explain. Look at Jerry here, right? Jerry is holding 2 weights, or whatever you want to call it, right? He's got a 15 gram, he's got a 10 gram. Well, sorry that I said that backwards. 10 gram, 15 gram, right? Let's say, okay, he notices the difference between them. Well, what's the difference between them? All right, well, 5 grams. One of them is 5 grams more than the other. All right, let's say the second time he's given a 20 and a 25. He can't notice the difference between them. But you might think, why can't he? Because, I mean, it's 5 grams. Well, according to Weber, he would if it was 20 and 30. Okay, here's where you got to know some math. So 15 is 50% more than 10. So in other words, if you multiply 10 by 1.5, you get 15. If you multiply 20 times 1.5, you get 30. 1.5 as a percent is 150%. So it's really a 50% increase. I hope that makes sense. 10 to 15 and 20 to 30 are the same increase, which is of 50%. This is what Weber's trying to say. He's saying it doesn't matter that there's a difference of 5 grams for the first 2 images. It doesn't matter. What matters is a constant percentage. That's why the first and the third he could notice, but not the second. All right, priming. Priming is just our ability to just know what comes next, kind of just from instinct, almost seemingly. So I'll go over this example that won't make sense to you. There's only a like 1.46555 chance that you would know this. So I'll go over that one next. And I'm sorry if this is completely seeming annoying. Only if you know about fish will you know what this is. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, what do you think this is? 4, probably, you thought. Walls of the cave, Carini, Guyute. And then you were like, what? If you don't know what fish is, you're probably like, all right, I don't know. I have no clue what this is. Foam is the answer. All right. Well, so forget that. All right, go over here now. All right. Red, blue, orange, yellow. What do you think that is? Green is probably what you'd say. All right. Plum, nectarine, pear, apple, grape. It's probably what you'd say. Notice, I mean, GR, I mean, it's the same thing, FO over here, but you're able to tell what it is kind of based on context and just what you know. That's priming. Okay, so signal detection theory. Notice that this is a theory. So it's a prediction of how and when we might detect a signal in background noise. This is not based on absolute threshold, it's based on experience. So here's what this means. So let's pretend this guy, he fought in some war. And let's say that you throw your Myers textbook on the ground and you're like, I hate that textbook. I hate it. That goes on the ground. Well, you know, if it hits flat, that's going to be pretty loud, right? So what are you going to do? Well, obviously, if you're the one that did it, then yeah. But let's pretend that you didn't do it. Let's say your friend did that. Your friend threw their textbook on the ground. As soon as you hear that noise, you're going to be like, oh, like kind of shocked, like, and then you'll probably be like, oh, you know, once you figure out what it is, you're like, okay. But if that guy's in the room, because he was in the war, that might sound like a gunshot to him, and that could be surprising. This is signal detection theory. It's trying to say, all right, we can predict how someone might react to something like that. All right, sensory adaptation. This is just getting used to something. So look at this guy. Let's say he starts working at like a trash thing, whatever you would call it. Oh, he might not like to smell that, but this guy, he's worked there for 273 days. Oh, I'm used to it. That's sensory adaptation. I can think of a specific example. If let's say you go to someone's house and it has a certain smell that you might not be used to, right? Well, eventually you might just get used to that once you're in there long enough. Or maybe like concert, you go to a concert, it seems really loud at first, but then you're just used to it. Then when you get out, you're like, like your ears kind of hurt a little bit. Or maybe you were outside for a long time. It was bright, you got used to it, you go inside, oh, it's like kind of dark, Or let's say that, when you're having like orange juice with toast, orange juice might seem sweet. Well, maybe that's not as good of an example. Sorry. So I was saying like, but if you have like orange juice with like ice cream, it's gonna be like, ooh, kind of sour. I don't know, but bottom line is that you just get used to things. Like that's what sensory adaptation was. That last example might not have been the best, but just think of this trash example, right? Perceptual discrimination. This is just the brain's ability to accurately perceive information in a complex fluid, and I'm not going to read that. I didn't make that definition. Yeah, that's overly complicated. It's basically just being able to decipher between things. So which note is higher? You probably said the second one, hopefully. I mean, it's okay if you didn't, but I don't know how you wouldn't know that. But that's what perceptual discrimination is. It's just like, I can pick out the difference. And it's not always necessarily a difference, but it like perceiving information in a somewhat confusing situation. It always does that. All right, habituation. What is this? This is a diminishing effect of something as exposure continues. In other words, as exposure increases, effect decreases. So let's say that you are in this room. So see Elaine, you might not know the show. That's okay. But these two people right here, Elaine, Jerry, pretend they're not there. You're here instead. And then this guy, Kramer, opens the door like that. You're gonna be like, because that's kind of abrupt, right? But notice how they hardly react. That's habituation. See, they are so used to him doing that it's like, yeah, I know what that is. All right, questions. Let's look at some questions. As always, you can pause or you cannot pause. All right, what was the first area of psychology studied? Okay, it's not. Okay, there we go. Psychophysics. I briefly mentioned that. Might be something to consider. Remember, that's relationship between physical things and psychological things. So you see light? Oh, that was bright. The relationship between just something, a characteristic of something, and how it psychologically affects us. All right. The longer you are exposed to a strong stimulus, the less aware you are. Remember, it's like the trash. They're not going to smell that smell after they've been working there for a long time as much. Sensory adaptation. The ability to focus on specific stimuli while filtering other stimuli out is selective attention. So remember that guy, like with the interviews, he's like, what question do I want to answer? And he didn't even answer it anyways in the movie, whatever. Perceptual discrimination it refers to, remember, Ooh, that is not correct. That's not correct. I don't know how that got in there. Must have just been a repeat. So let's go back. I already told you it's being able to decipher between two things. So like this for two example is two musical notes, knowing the difference between them. So, so sorry for that stupid thing. That's not the answer, is it? Oh, minimum intensity to which a stimulus can be detected 50% of the time, absolute threshold. Remember that, like this, where this picture came from, didn't notice, sometimes did, sometimes. This theory predicts how and when we detect the presence of a faint mid-background stimulation. Theory, remember, signal detection theory. What is converting physical energy into a neural node? Oh, code. Transduction. Create an example of habituation. Early notices notices the new stop sign less and less each time he drives by it. So at first it was like, oh, better stop. That wasn't there before. But then he's like, I'm used to that now. I know. Sensory adaptation. Explain that. Is when you become used to a certain sight, smell, sound, or any other sense due to less nerves firing. I mean, if you want to get technical, less nerves fire. Create an example of top-down processing. Remember, top-down, that's like using your experiences to determine what something is instead of your senses. A word was faded on a billboard, but Early knew what it was because he knows what the billboards of that company are usually about. What principle states that to be perceived different, two stimuli must differ by a minimum percentage? Oh yeah, that's Weber's law. Ooh, no final slide. I need to stop doing that. Okay, thank you for watching.